Welcome to People Doing Good for Others. This is People Doing Good for Others, where we celebrate and honor and hold in the light those who truly matter in significant ways in our communities. I want to thank Wilkes Communications and the River Street Network and WIFM for this opportunity. And I'm Gary York, and thank you for your choice of being with us today. Our featured guest is Ted Hagaman. He's the executive director of the Merle Fest, a rich tradition in this community, an economic force, a moment that people respect from all over the country. And I'm grateful that he's with us today. And we are in somewhat of through a trying time. He and his group have just gone through, and we're in September going to bring another incredible contribution to our community, the Merle Fest. So good morning to you, my friend.
Good morning, Gary. Thank you for having me today.
What an honor to have you here, and for your leadership and role in most successful venue as we celebrate life and people who enjoy coming together. So Ted, give us a little background, if you will, about arriving here in Wilkes County.
Well, I'm a native of Boone. I graduated from Appalachian State years ago. I worked in banking for a couple of years. I worked for Lowe's companies for over 20 years. And then I had the opportunity to come to Wilkes Community College about 21 years ago. And that's been a wonderful partnership. I've truly enjoyed my time at Wilkes Community College.
Tell us about the start of Merle Fest, a little history, if you will, just bring us up to today.
Sure. It all started back in 1988. The college was in the process of building a garden for the census, and B. Towns, who was the horticulture instructor at the college, said that he would like to have some type of fund. He needs some funds to be able to do this, and there was a local board here that one of the gentlemen, Bill Young, knew Doc Watson. He said, well, if it's a garden for the census, I know a good friend, Doc Watson, that might just come and do a benefit concert to help raise some money. So he called Doc, and B and Bill went up and talked with Doc, and he said, well, yeah, I'll do it under two conditions. One is you let me bring some of my friends, and we named this in honor of my son, Merle. Merle, his son, had died tragically in a tractor accident a couple of years earlier. And that, of course, broke Doc's heart. He not only was his son, but it was also his traveling companion and his eyes on the road, and a talented musician. So they all agreed to do that. The funny thing about it was supposed to be a 2-hour concert in the Walker Center, our auditorium on campus.
The first year was 2 hours planned?
Well, that was what it was supposed to be.
Okay.
The problem is, Doc called in some of his friends to see if they would participate, and there were so many friends that they couldn't make it work in 2 hours. They didn't have enough room.
Thank you.
So they were sitting there trying to figure out how in the world they were going to do that, and Doc's wife, Rosalie, sat there and she said, she called him honey. She said, honey, all you have to do is just hold off until the spring and just have a little mini festival. And so that's what they did. And so the first year in 1988, in April, was the first event. They actually got some experts in doing concerts and things like that to come in and talk, and it was decided that they would create a couple of stages down on a field at the college using tractor-trailer trucks, putting them together, making stages, and also using the Walker Center and using the cabin that was there that had been restored and built on the campus. And it was a great success. Doc's friends included people like Chet Atkins and Marty Stewart and Grandpa Jones and people like that from the Grand Ole Opry, and they all came and played for free just to honor Doc and Merle. And so that was the beginning. So it was one of those things that if you talk to B today about, he would tell you he had no clue what this was going to look like. Didn't know how to run a festival, but he had some good people working with him that helped to make that happen. And from there, it was decided, wow, this worked. And actually, they made some money the first year because all of these artists came for free and made it happen. So they said, maybe we've got something here. Maybe we need to take this another step. And so through the years, a stage was built, a permanent stage was built, and this thing started growing with the help of Doc, in a lot of cases calling in favors and getting friends to come. And now they didn't all come for free from there on, but still, he provided a lot of contacts to make this happen. And B was smart enough to see that this was a good thing, and he got some good people involved. And so it's just amazing to see where the first year there may have been a couple of thousand people there to today where we average anywhere from about 70 to 80,000 people over the 4-day time period. So it's really an amazing story.
And it's amazing, I'm sure that you just feel so blessed to have been here, to have been in for 20 years, have been somewhat in the middle of it.
Oh, absolutely. Previously to coming to the college, I was with Lowe's companies, involved in a lot of neat things with Lowe's, and so busy at the time I really had not been to the festival. So when I came to work at the college, I was hired to manage the Walker Center, which is the auditorium there. I'd never been to Merle Fest before. Heard about it. My kids wanted to go, and a lot of times they would go, but I'd never been. But man, that first year when I was here and became a part of things, and I was over the food and hospitality at the time, I was hooked. I saw the potential, and the thing that really struck me was there's so much tradition. It's a family-friendly event. There is no alcohol. People come for the love of the music. It's a tradition. So many people that came to those very first festivals brought their kids. Now their kids have grown up. They're bringing their kids. And it's just a feel-good event. It's something that we can all take a lot of pride in.
You know, David Holt, who's been a perennial every year guy for you forever, I've gotten to know him somewhat, and he says there's nothing like it in the world.
I'll have to agree with him. We found a niche. I mean, there's some wonderful festivals all over the world, but this one is a little different. And we hear that a lot from artists who say, I better really be on my game when I come to Merle Fest, because
on my game.
In a lot of cases, a lot of the festivals they go to, they do sell alcohol, and a lot of times they're playing over the noise. At Merle Fest, the people are coming for the music and not necessarily the party. So those artists know that they better be on top of their game when they come.
I'm glad you brought that up.
It has become a bucket list item for so many artists in Nashville and all over the world.
They say, I hope I'm invited this year, or
Yes.
I hope I'm part of it.
We get calls from time to time from top name agents saying, you know, we've got so-and-so that would like to come play at Merle Fest. And that's unique.
Yeah. Ted Hagaman, some of the other traditions like parking, like the Boy Scouts and the buses, and just talk about some of those things that folks might not know about that are just core for me, if you will.
Well, the whole thing that fuels this, of course, we've got to have name artists. We've got to have top entertainment quality. But the other piece that really makes this happen are the people that are working behind the scenes. This community has really jumped on and partnered with us. We could not do this without the 600 or 700 volunteers that work the event itself. But throughout the year, we will have over 4,000 people involved, either as an individual or a group volunteer. And so these are the people that do park the cars, sell and serve the food, clean up, set up, usher, help people get across the street. I mean, we have so many different things that have to happen behind the scenes. And we've been so blessed to have people that really take it's in their heart. They really see the value of this. They look forward to it every year. We've got volunteers that have participated all 33 years of the festival. And those are the people that make this event happen. We've always said as organizers, our work goes on getting ready for the festival. If we can get to about lunchtime on Friday, and with the festival starting on Thursday, we get to lunchtime on Friday, the festival basically takes, it becomes a mind of itself. The people that are there volunteering and working in key roles, they know what to do, they take control, and we then just step back and let it happen. And so it's the people that makes it.
Go back to the volunteer, and that he or she might come and they get a ticket maybe, or for a session, or for compensation for being a volunteer. Is that?
There is no reason that anybody cannot attend a Merle Fest. You can buy a ticket, but you can also volunteer, work a 4-hour shift, and enjoy the festival for free the rest of the day. Yeah. So it's a win-win. A lot of people really enjoy doing that because they can meet other people, and again, it's a homecoming every year. People really look forward to working in the same areas with the same people, and develop friendships, and then they get to enjoy the festival the rest of the time too.
And so if you make it until lunch on Friday, is everything after that just kind of rolls on?
It does. Yeah. It's amazing how things
You know, I have good
clicking.
friends at GMB Energy, and they provide the propane for
Great
you. Great
sponsors, yes.
It's a highlight of the year, Jeff Edson tells me.
Well, their guys do a wonderful job. You know, we put a lot of emphasis on safety and making sure that we do things right. And those guys are working continuously behind the scenes to check and make sure that everything's safe. Yeah. Great partners.
The sound, the electronic guy who's been here every year from Greensboro. Talk about that company and how that might have happened, and how does that work, Ted?
Well, Cliff Miller, who is the president of SE Systems in Greensboro, was actually a good friend of Doc Watson's, and had played some and had done some of the production work for some of Doc's shows in the past. He was the person that actually came up one day and gave Doc and B the idea that, hey, we could just take some tractor-trailer trucks down here on that field down there, right next to that cabin, and we could make a nice stage down there, and I could, bring my crew in, and we could set up the sound and everything. So it was Cliff's idea to do that. Cliff is still involved. Their company still does all of our sound and all 13 stages. And,
13 stages?
13 stages.
Explain that or share that with us.
We have stages.
It's a good time, right?
Yeah, we have stages located all over the campus. We have a main stage, which is our Watson stage, cabin stage next to that. But then we have stages in our Walker Center. We have stages like in the dance tent or traditional stage under big tents. And with Cliff's help, all of those have been positioned so you have very little bleed over from one stage to the next. But they do just a fabulous job. Wow. And it takes a couple of weeks for them to come in and get everything set to be able to.
Couple of weeks.
We start about 30 days in advance as far as
physically
setup,
doing things.
Physically setting things up. Yeah.
Do we need to go to COVID now? Is it a good time to talk about that continuum and all of a sudden things happen?
Yeah, last year was disappointing. 45 days from the festival on March the 13th. we had to call it off. First time ever in the history of the festival.
Right.
Our folks worked very hard over the last 18 months trying to figure out what's it going to look like from here. We had to work with all the ticket buyers that had already bought tickets, and so many of those people were generous enough to go ahead and roll forward to 21, or to even donate the money that they had bought tickets from, which we deeply appreciated because it helped us cover a lot of our costs.
Thank you for that.
Oh yeah, but then we've spent a lot of time on what's this going to look like. And, you know, a lot of it's a waiting game. It really taught us a lesson in patience because no one really knew the answers. We were able to talk with some of the officials at Wake Forest Baptist Health a couple of times to get their take. In fact, we talked to them back last October and said, you know, we're wondering if we're going to be able to do this in 21. And Dr. Kevin High at the hospital, who is also the president, he said, that's normally April, right? And we said, yeah. He said, we've got vaccines coming, and we're going to get there. But he said, I think you're pushing it to think you can do this in April. He said, I think if you really want to try to do this at all in 21, you need to look at the fall. That was the best advice we could have ever gotten.
Wow.
Because we've always been an April event.
Yeah.
So we started looking at pockets of time in the fall, which we learned real quickly there are not a lot of pockets of free time in the fall. That's a busy time.
Yeah.
And we had to look at all the different pieces of this, you know, the production company, when they're available. How about our artists? Who can we get if we pick these dates or these dates? Just a lot of things that went into this, suppliers. And the date we selected was September 16th through 19th. That's when we're going to do it. And so everything has been full bore now, working with health officials locally, and we're following the state guidelines as far as safety is concerned. We're making sure that we do exactly what is legally required. We want to do what's legally required. We want to make sure that our people are safe, and that we're doing everything we can to make this a good, successful event for everybody.
Do you know exactly how many events or how many shows in those 4 days? How many groups come in and perform?
We'll have over 80 artists.
80.
That could be a band or it could be an individual.
Okay.
So some of them play one set, some of them may play 3 sets. It just depends on their availability and what is available on certain stages. Some stages are themed, such as our Creekside stage. It's more bluegrass. And our traditional stage is more of a traditional music of the Appalachian region. Then we've got an Americana stage that has more Americana style music. Then we have other stages that has a blend of all types of genres, from Americana music to rock to country to Celtic, Cajun, blues. I mean, we've got a lot of different genres that perform at Merle Fest.
So most of it is by invitation?
Yes.
You decide how we're going to do this and the artists or the band that might come, right?
Right. We work very closely with agents, both in Nashville, Los Angeles, New York, to see who might be touring at the time. We have a wish list that we keep at all times of people that we would like to get to Merle Fest. And a lot of it is not necessarily dependent on whether the person wants to come or not. It's their availability. Some of them may be working on a record at the time and not touring. Some people may be actually out on the road touring, and it's a perfect fit for their travel. They may be on the East Coast at that time. So a lot of it's luck. A lot of it's finding somebody, you know, that meets all that criteria to work with us.
Has the decision been made, Ted Hagaman, about next year date?
We're going right back to April to our date.
Going back to the last weekend in April.
Yes. So that makes it interesting as we start preparing for next year. We're already working on 22 because instead of having 12 months to work with, we now have 7 months to work between the 21 festival and the 22 festival. So we're.
How would an individual, say if I decided I want to volunteer, walk through that with welcoming and volunteers, Ted?
Sure, you can go to our website, which is merlefest.org, and click on volunteers. There's a complete information about how that works, what you receive for your work, an application that you can sign up for. It even talks about the different areas that we need volunteers. Kind of gives a job description on what you might do if you were working in food service or this or that. You know, it gives you the information you need, I think, to make a good decision on what works best for you.
One of the phenomena for me is the town of Wilkesboro's campground, and that has evolved from not being to being an incredible contributor to firemen's pensions, and I mean that's a tradition in itself. I think that's an incredible moment in time that would happen.
Well, you know, some people would say, well, why are you letting them do that? That you know, we're not in the camping business. They saw an opportunity, and there was a need. There's a need to take care of all these people. And so we welcome that, and they do a wonderful job. They build a bathhouse, and I mean they've got like over 600 campsites, and it fills up every year.
Yeah.
So we're thrilled that they're working together. So everybody benefits. It's a win-win-win for everybody, and I think that's one of the reasons again that MerleFest has been so good.
MerleFest is just the uniqueness is just incredible. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the nonprofits that profit incredibly from this wonderful event. The local groups of churches and scouts and you name it.
We have over 70 groups that participate at MerleFest. Now these could be community groups like civic clubs or schools or churches. We also have our college clubs that participate. And it could be, again, serving food, parking cars, all different types of things that they do, which are all critical to making sure that we have a successful festival. Typically, if you look over the last 5 years, these groups will raise anywhere between $400,000 to $500,000 collectively with their efforts. And we say, you know, it'd take a lot of bake sales and car washes to equal what they do in those 4 days.
Sure.
It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
But it's also a good team building opportunity for these groups. And they are able to raise enough money to really power what they do, their organization and their goals and the activities and things they do throughout the year. They depend on that. I know many of those groups really missed the monies that normally would have been raised in April this year by not having the festival last year.
Yeah.
But hopefully with us being able to get back on track in September, that will help them to get moving again.
Ted, I suppose you have a core leadership team that you virtually work on the MerleFest year round?
We do, but we all wear multiple hats.
Okay.
I am the director of MerleFest, but I'm also the director of the Walker Center, and we take care of all the hospitality and food on the campus. So we do about 235 events a year on campus. It could be anything from a wedding reception to a business meeting to a trade show to numerous things. We do a season of shows at the Walker Center. We manage Faith Fest. That's also on
that's a good
campus.
item. Talk about how you just opened your arms to, I know the group that decided to do that, and you said, absolutely. I heard just right after, tell us about how that started. Will you do that?
Sure. A group of men came into my office one day and said, we want you to teach us how to run a festival. And so over the past 5 years, that's what we've attempted to do, is help them to build
So
the
you
festival.
counsel them on the dues, how to make it work?
Yeah, we pretty much help manage them and guide them through that. So that's what I'm saying. We have a lot of different opportunities
I'm
there.
glad
We
you
all wear
brought that
different
up.
hats, and so it's not just Merle Fest we're working on. We've got some very talented people.
I'm glad you brought that up, that you're doing other things too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Some of the unique, like children's events and just some things that people might not know that happen at Merle Fest. Please share with us some of those unique offerings.
We have an area called Little Pickers area. And it
Little
has
Pickers.
Little Pickers area. And it actually has its own stage. We do programming for children in that. It's both music, we have jugglers, magicians, mime artists, different things. So it's a great environment. We have different activities for the kids, and the neat thing about it is any child 12 and under gets in free with a paid adult. And all of the activities that we have in that area are free for those kids to participate in. And that's kind of a unique thing too. It's not nickel and diming every day, every place. So it's a great place for a kid to come. We want them to feel comfortable and enjoy to come in hopes that one of these days they'll bring their kids to Merle Fest.
Like a Presley Barker
yes.
started there, and what a phenom he is. We a big fan of Presley.
That's right.
So we're close, 2 or 3 more minutes. Do we want to go straight to the date and talk about it some more, and the tickets and some things that our folks that we're going to entertain want to come? Talk about a little bit as we end, if you will, Ted.
So our festival is scheduled for September 16th through the 19th. You can go to merlefest.org and find out all the artists that are coming, the schedules that they're playing, information about parking, which is free, by the way, free shuttle to take you to the front door, free 120-page program book giving you all the information about the artist and things. So it's a great value for a family to come. We put a lot of emphasis on the quality of the event. Somebody's asked me before, how big do you want to see this thing get? That's not the goal. The goal is to make sure that we keep the quality of the event. Then we don't ever have to worry about whether it's going to survive or not. Quality. It needs to be a safe, family-friendly event. This year in particular...
Family-friendly.
Yes. We're going to put a lot of, particularly extra emphasis on, there are going to be hand washing stations and sanitizers everywhere. We're doing a couple of things different this year. One being we're opening our gates earlier so that when a bus drives up loaded with people that have just come from the parking lot, that gate's going to be open and people can go right on in. We're taking all the eating tables out of our huge food tent and making a dining tent so that the big tent where they buy their food, there's going to be plenty of room for lines and less congestion. We're doing everything we can to spread people out, make them feel comfortable, and doing our part to keeping people safe. Now, the only other thing that we're asking people to do is we're going to challenge all the people that come to Merle Fest. Take care of your neighbor. Make sure that you're doing your part to keeping people safe and doing what we need to do.
As we discussed or had a few minutes before we started our show today, you continually said safety, safety, safety. And so I'm pleased that you were there, that that was the motive, the intention to start, and you've carried that, you will, to the end.
Well, our job as festival management, our job is to take care of people.
Right.
So that's what we try to do.
Ted, it's just an honor to have you here, and how you paint pictures so vividly. It's almost like it's going on right now. And it's just honored to have you here on People Doing Good for Others, and we'll look forward to this incredible Merle Fest, and it's the 16th September. Say that once again.
September 16 through 19.
And all are welcome.
Everybody's welcome. And there's no reason you can't come, because if you can either buy a ticket or you can volunteer.
America's most unique offerings of good time and family-friendly entertainment. Right?
Right.
Ted Hagaman, Executive Director of the Merle Fest, September 16th through the 19th. It's an honor to have this wonderful opportunity for life and for family-friendly entertainment. I'm grateful that Ted would come with us today, and he's always has a soul to share the goodness of these opportunities. So come to Merle Fest, be a part of this incredible opportunity. And again, I'm Gary York, people doing good for others. Until we can be together again, I look forward to our next show, and thank you for being part of this wonderful opportunity with Ted Hagaman and the Merle Fest in Wilkesboro for 33 years. And here we are, and next year it's going to be back to the last weekend in April. Thank you very much, and look forward to you being with us again. Bye-bye.